Let me say a good Monday morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio, those of you viewing via GBN TV, those of you who are viewing and listening via our social media platforms. Good morning. Hope all is well with you. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Monday, the 29th day of January, which means in a couple of days, January will be something in the past, a bit of a memory of January 2024. Let me say good morning to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the program once again. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning to you, GT. Good morning to our listeners, or followers, or viewers, or supporters, visibly, intangibly, or otherwise. Good morning to everyone, and thank you. Right. I've had a wonderful weekend. It was great, and it's good to be back. It's good to join you in studio this morning for our useful program. But before we do, let me just say belated happy birthday to my second son, Ali, in the United States. He celebrated yesterday.
All right.
And his first son as well was, we call christened, lifted up, dedicated. That happened yesterday too. So I just want to use this opportunity as a national athlete and contributed to Grenada and within the United States. We are proud of people like this who will keep Grenada's flag flying. Even as we go to 50, our athletes and our sports people who've made us proud are some of the people we need to recognize. So that's one of them.
So true.
Celebrated his birthday yesterday. So wish him all the best for the future.
So true. You know, we're celebrating 50 years as an independent nation. Yesterday we had that, of course, national flag relay system yesterday. Did you? I paid a bit of attention to it. Doing my other chores, I was all the way up in the mountains working, but there was option, social media these days.
Yes.
You could look at anything anytime.
Your job is in the palm of your hand. The issues are right next to you.
So I was actually viewing it. I like the cycling part of things. I like the cycling. I have a little bit of enthusiasm about cycling. I like to see people cycling, So
with the flag, did they have a torch? No.
Well, it should have been that way also. I didn't pay attention to that part, but it was like a quadrathlon that they was calling it.
Right.
So it was including cycling, running, swimming, and with the boats also. All
Great
four mixed up in one. So it was great. I understand that they had a great turnout yesterday in terms of participants. So I want to congratulate. I didn't get to pay full attention to who came out in terms of the positioning.
Yeah.
But the turnout was good. I'd like to see how the public also got involved. Come out and cheer them on, raise the enthusiasm of the individuals who were participating at the time.
Yes. I have not really followed the crowd throughout Grenada in terms of the participation for the activities, but it seemed as though the interest is growing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has grown a bit too late. I was hoping to have seen a bit more, but as the committee and the state mechanism has said that this is not going to be just for February or
it's
February.
1 year.
It's going to go on for
1 year.
All of 2024. So we are going to see. It's probably a good time. The momentum is building. It's going to peak maybe on the 7th. And then it's going to continue, maybe hold on to that strip.
Well, it's typically a bit of a norm for how Grenadians do figure. We like the last minute thing. We put our emphasis into the last minute. That's why we rush and get everything to the last minute.
Yes.
We know there's always that slow build up to every process here. If you ever pay attention to that process of build up is always slow. And when you get to the actual day or when the event has to take place, then we see the rush. For folks wanting to participate. So in you gotta get to the norm.
Yeah. So in terms of the activities for year 50, we have to do our review though. We're gonna speak about that.
Yeah. Well, let's get into
the. Should we touch first?
Let's get into the review first.
Okay.
It's been a pretty interesting week. We've been getting those showers on and off. And we've been speaking about that off air. The prediction from most of the Met Office, and if you look at the weather situation around the world, it's been predicting that weather conditions. We always see the U.S. is going through that turmoil in terms of the snow and so forth. Hey, I'm not vexing you folks out there, but
no.
I'm happy to be in Grenada.
Yes.
In Grenada. They've been going through that. We've been getting those rain and the sun will be hot for a minute and then it pours after that. So the forecast has been kind of odd somewhere there.
And people may wonder why we relate to all of the issues in our reviews, talk about the weather, talk about other states. The fundamental thing, we're speaking about risk management, emergency response, and all of what we speak about does have its implication and does have its bearing on what we speak about in terms of the risk, because it tells you, therefore, that you need to be prepared, you need to manage, you need to plan, and you need to be in tune with what's happening around you. You have to be aware as well. And the odd people who do not believe in climate change or climate variability, you're living in a different era, because the evidence really is all around us.
It's right there. If you pay attention, you will see what's going on.
Yes. And in a small island state like Grenada, we don't have snowstorms and all that, but the kind of weather that we have. And as we were speaking off air, and speaking of how the weather pattern has been, every day I read, they send me every day the weather forecast 3 times per day technically. And every one of them do have some indication of either slightly overcast, widely scattered showers, becoming cloudy and all that. It's an indicator that the humidity in the atmosphere is very technically, and there's more moisture within the atmosphere, and therefore there's likely to be some level of precipitation, whether it's in form of rain, or you may have dew forming overnight, as the case may be, that keeps a bit of moisture on surface. It also has its negative implication as well as its positive. As you were speaking, for the people who need to do outdoor work, who are going to climb the poles, who are going to set up antennas and everything, there's a level of risk for people needing to be more careful, because you can slip, because you don't have a lot of rain then, but the moisture itself even is worse than having the heavy rain. Because the heavier rain, it could wash off some of the things from the surface. With a little bit of moisture, what it does, it creates slippery surface. And so people can slide up very, very. So it means, therefore, that when these things are happening, that the briefing process for people going out to do these things, it has to be consistent, it has to be insistent, and safety has to always come first, second, third, foremost, and uttermost.
Down the line, safety.
To speak about that. Yep. And the mold on surfaces, not just on poles, but it forms on buildings, etc. With the rain falling, again, the implication for the duty equipment sellers and users. What you call the power washers, they get used quite a bit, because the mold and the thing that forms on the surface of your yard, your step, your building, etc., you need to keep pouring these down,
keep washing and keep washing.
And again, the safety factor involved. If you have these surfaces, when you walk around, you can slip.
It could be dangerous.
So what does that say to us? That we need to get more into rails, and we need to go into non-skid tile if we have to use them, and ensure that the surfaces that are being prepared for walking, that they're done in such a way that they're not that smooth. The tiling is appropriate for a particular area, and this is what we need the engineers and people within those areas to focus on the safety aspect of it.
And give the proper recommendations,
Not just the dollars and cents, but the proper recommendations. There are people who may come to you in building or otherwise, and what they would want is just maybe a quick building, the fastest and cheapest way they can get it. But engineers and designers, architects, etc., they must advise people appropriately. It's not just the cheaper way.
Your reputation is at stake there also. Because they will say, Mr. Matt. So
but there are people who do that. Because they want to give you, and they'll just say, well, you know what, we can make some more dollars in our hands if we give them the cheaper material, the quicker material, get it done.
But sometimes you have to think about your reputation at stake also.
I don't think a lot of them think about reputation too much. And we're hoping that could be.
That should change.
They should change. And there are the guys who have that reputation that they want to maintain regardless of. And there are others who just think, you know what, if I can build this thing really quickly and give it to somebody, they want a quick fix, you go to them.
I'm not thinking about, and as you said, the safety procedures on it are not ahead to, are not even implemented, anything that would save the users of that particular building, the safety factors about it sometimes are not even ahead to.
So it takes us right back to some of the things we've been mentioning, the whole health and safety issue, and the M&E, the monitoring and evaluating processes or projects or things that are supposed to happen. How do people look at them, and what is the standards that are being maintained, and what is the instrument of enforcement to ensure that those standards are already achieved. So going forward, we should look at them. So as we review the week, apart from the rain, that's good, because I planted some stuff, you know that. I did some.
So that's good.
Pumpkin, because I know down the road when the dry season step in and so forth, when the rain stop falling a bit, other people in the lower land may not have as much. But I'm in the high area.
So that's good. That's good.
I get more water up there. So when the thing, I'll be having hundreds of pounds of pumpkin.
All right. But folks would say it's maybe different. I don't know, maybe me. I'm not a farmer. I have never got into farming. But if you're in a high area, your water wouldn't be running out faster?
And, well, it depends on the style of farming that you get engaged in. But because there is something called contour drains. Rather than having the drains running straight down the surface, they go across. Okay. So you have less runoff. When the water comes from the top it settles and take a longer time to sip through the bottom.
Okay, good.
But then in higher elevation, the evaporation process is less because you have the trees and everything else that will attract, they're closer to the atmosphere, the higher elevations. So they will attract the moisture quicker than the low-lying area.
All right, good.
You'll have faster evaporation in the low plains. The heat will be there, so you'll have the moisture absorbed much quicker. So in the highlands, yeah, it's really good.
You kind of brought me back to a little bit of the agriculture classes back then.
Yes, of course.
And we had some accidents over the weekend, some serious, some minor, but still the option of folks not driving the due care attention, the speed, folks still seems to not be paying attention to it for some reason or the other. Still, what could we do? What could we really do, Mr. McIntyre? We've been talking about this for eons.
Hand on my chest.
That
the few accidents we had over the weekend, last couple of days, there were no fatalities. God bless. But even an injury, a slight one, is just one too many that we should have on our roads. And the accidents that we see, they are preventable.
Yes.
And I say preventable in the sense that during the traffic investigations, not many, if any of them I've heard of, had vehicle defects that caused or the contributing factor for the accident. It has all been driver error, driver complacency, and drivers' intent on not obeying speed limits and road safety regulations. And it still go back to us asking the question, do we really respect law and order? Do we really adhere to the principles of psychotropic substances or alcohol, drugs, and the things that people use that can really inhibit their ability on the road? What are the enforcement measures, and whether we do have them honored or obeyed, or whether or not our enforcement strategies need to be changed, whether or not our police officers should be doing checks more continuous, less predictable, spontaneous more, I guess.
Yes. And
so the penalties, we look at how we can enforce them so that as we advocate, it becomes a deterrent. Yeah. And the safety foundation, in my son's name, Asher McIntyre's Road Safety Foundation that we established, is some of the things that we really, I think going towards the end of the program, we are going to be speaking, when we speak about Grenaders going forward for 50, some of the things that we want to see happen, and we're going to touch on some of the things we advocate and we look forward to seeing happen here. But yes, the accidents that we saw, negligence, speeding, I looked at one right on I think there were two on the Morris Bishop Highway.
Yes, there was one in the Longwall area in St. Patrick's also. Motorcycle guy with that motorcycle. That was pretty.
And did you understand that he was not wearing? It seemed that he was not wearing a helmet as well.
It didn't seem so, and I'm not too sure. I don't want to give incorrect information, but
yeah,
it's the damages that I see that he of course got. Seemed that he wasn't wearing it.
I hope he was, but indications are from unofficial sources. People say that it seemed as though he was not.
Okay.
And if that's the case, it's unfortunate though, because I know the police advocate strongly. It's a condition, as a matter of fact, to have a helmet when riding a motorcycle, not just for the person who is on the pedals or otherwise,
but the passenger
the person that's been riding along with them, riding along with them, should also wear a helmet.
Why do we continue to see accidents of those nature occur, Mr. McIntyre? Knowing from time to time we see the danger that occurs from speeding, folks lose their lives and so forth, but we continue to see it happening on the nation's road. Individuals for unnecessary reasons will overtake you just to stop just a couple of feet in front of you. You wonder why would they do that?
Yes.
Why do we continue to see that happening?
There are a number of factors responsible, and I would ask the question, are we doing enough in terms of public education and information? Mm-hmm. The other factor is, with what we are doing, are we targeting the appropriate audience? Yeah. And the other question is, are we doing it in a timely manner? Is the time appropriate that people or the audience can really get the information that is really required? And the other factor is, are we preparing road users like drivers and riders, etc.? Are we preparing them sufficiently for the road? These are some questions that we had in the past. We continue to have them. And obviously there is need for a deep research.
Yeah.
And when the research is being done, the results, we would look for implementation. And so these are some things that we've undertaken.
You think the license authority could also look into the option of reevaluation from time to time?
Of course.
Especially the younger road users these days. Because sometimes, if you look at for the majority of individuals who are having accidents these days, are the younger who have recently, maybe have obtained a license in the last 5 years or so. And maybe, some kind of review could be done where it becomes mandatory that, hey, after 2.5 years, you come in for review and of your license. Let's see what issues you may have been getting into that you may need to brush up on.
Yeah.
Things like that could probably help individuals change their attitude towards and how they drive and so forth. If it's possible.
That is a suggestion, but it may become unpopular in a sense that a lot of people probably would find themselves feeling disadvantaged because if they fall under that condition, understanding that they are proper road users, they drive, and then they have to go through this, they may feel it's unfair. So maybe another angle of approaching that would be the violators. There should be a system that drive them into that direction.
Well, I was more speaking on that direction.
Okay,
if there's a penalty structure probably, if you think about that.
Well, the merit
system. And hey, you've been getting into accidents 2-3 times a month for some reasons. And over the years, I have noticed you had 4 or 5 accidents. Reasons for that. We need to have a reevaluation. What are the problems? What are you doing wrong while you're driving that are causing these problems?
Yes.
I'm not mean generally everybody. It would not be fair for bringing everybody generally because you got your license in the last 5 years, but people who are violating and getting themselves into that problems.
Yes.
Maybe we could consider that.
And the other aspect that we spoke about earlier in our programs was the preparation for the road in terms of the people that teach people to drive, what they are really taught and how they are prepared. I teach people to drive as well. I had a school one time I used to teach people to drive, and ever so often I run a few classes. But what I found is that a lot of maybe the recent instructors, they may have the old school model of training that in a way isn't bringing people up to this speed, and because training people to drive has become so commercialized, the quicker you can get people to receive a license is the better for you.
Better for you as the instructor.
That's correct. But does that mean that we are preparing them sufficiently? In addition to that, there are other modalities of the training I think that need to be revised. I've been speaking to the head of traffic one time, and he did say to me that these are some of the things that they're now considering, preparing people for the road. For instance, I am not aware that the law provides for teaching people to drive at night.
The law don't provide for that.
No.
So you're doing that technically at your own risk.
That's correct. Well, I don't think people learn to drive at night. You don't see people moving around.
So true.
The law provides for between 6 a.m. to 8, and then 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening. And with special conditions of permission, they may go before or beyond that time. But there is no real provision that I'm aware of in the law that speaks to teaching people to drive at nights, use of lights, and the other disadvantage. I was saying to one of the learners recently, I said, I pity you guys because you are thrown to the wolves almost immediately because the traffic situation has risen so drastically over the last couple of years. The commercialization, the business communities, things that happen around it, they move so quickly. The build-up of traffic becomes so quick that the people that are being taught to drive right now, they just have to, once you're given your license, you have to jump into it and you have to get up to speed almost immediately.
Get in instantly. There's not that learning process, continuous learning process.
Yeah.
I remember learning to drive back in the early 90s.
Right.
And the vehicles in Grenada on the road was minimal at the time.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So I had the option of, after obtaining the license, taking my time and now getting to learn, get the process of learning to drive the says off to the license.
Yes. But you don't have time on your side now.
No.
You just have to get up to it much quicker.
You have to get up to speed, as they would say. You just have to get up to speed with what is taking place, learn to maneuver yourself in traffic. Sometimes you don't even have the appropriate skill as yet.
And I think this is one of the reasons why we see a lot of minor accidents, because a lack of the experience in handling certain situations. There are some things doesn't just come with skill. A lot of it comes with experience.
Yes.
You may have a particular skill set, but trust me, the experience will make you more proficient at doing it. And I think we should review that, and whether or not there should be a time factor set, and there should be a skill, a deeper skill set training that people should enter into after
receiving the license.
Whether or not they should carry I know there are some states outside of Grenada where after one receives a license, they carry the L with them for a period of time. And they will drive.
Still in that learning process.
There is someone that needs to be in the vehicle with them for an extended period of time with the L, even if they've been given a license. Maybe we may have to move to that so that road users, as you drive GT, someone coming to you with a vehicle is a driver.
Yes.
You are not seeing this person as somebody who's just had a license.
Nope.
All you're seeing is a person who's supposed
you will
to be
be thinking they have the proper maneuvering skills to handle that vehicle at the time.
And then how many times they put you in a jam?
Yeah. You have to swing away from them.
4 feet on that side and that person is in the middle of the road because the average level. So you just tell yourself, I think we need to review that.
I know, some review should be done. Let's take this caller. This individual been calling for a while. I hope it's something pertaining to what we're discussing. Caller, Good morning, welcome.
Quiet.
Good morning to you, sir. That program on the program this morning is very interesting, and I would like to comment on it. It's because I go on the beach every morning, and it's a bit dark in the morning now, and you get these people and them driving. They're black all about, and you cannot see them on the motorway. I come from Cali side going down to Grandans Beach. You cannot see them on the motorway.
Caller, I think you're distracted a little bit by the radio or the television in your background. You may have to lower the volume and just listen to us on the phone.
Yeah. Okay, I will lower it down.
Please do that quickly, please.
Yeah.
I certainly don't understand where that caller is coming from. Because sometimes Go right ahead, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, and what really happened, that the people just running from one side to the another. And I always think that's very wrong. And you don't...
Caller, you may have to lower that radio and call us back as it's distracting you a wee bit. When you get that organized, you could probably recall. I think he's talking with individuals who are using the roads for probably jogging in the morning, early morning walking. And
they're probably not wearing the appropriate
anything reflective
clothes,
or so.
Reflective and so on. It's one of the things that through our foundation we're going to correct. We are going to be producing reflectors for road users in the not too distant future.
Okay. Mr. Sylvan, of course, Mr. McIntyre, so we need to take a break. We went over it a wee bit. It's like our intro has run into 20 minutes and more. Let's take that break. When we come back, we get into a further discussion this morning. Stay with us, folks, here on To The Point. We'll be right back. Don't touch your dial.
Celebrate Christmas and New Year with the NLA's exciting You Must Win promotion. Spend $15 or more in a single ticket purchase on Daily Pick 3, Daily Cash 4, or Playway, and just like that, you have chances to win prizes valued at over $100,000. Winning is easy. Simply check your tickets for the words "You won," free cash, free phones, free tablets, or free Instacash tickets. But wait, that's not all. You can also win free raffle entries for chances to win not one but 2 cars in NLA's You Must Win promotion. Promotion runs December 1st, 2023 to January 31st, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 18 and over to participate. The NLA, making your Christmas and New Year dreams come true.
The Planning and Development Authority of Grenada, PDA, is enforcing regulations to curb illegal, disorderly, and unauthorized development in several locations throughout the state of Grenada. The authority is concerned that structures mainly associated with vending are negatively impacting the environment, has undesirable public health and sanitation consequences, present obstructions to vehicle and pedestrian traffic, can become projectiles during adverse weather conditions, and generally affect the aesthetics of the nation. The PDA will work along with stakeholder ministries and institutions to effect the demolition, removal, and disposal of structures which fall in the category of illegal and disorderly development, commencing January 2024. In this regard, persons who vend in or occupy such illegal structures are advised to secure their personal belongings and have the structures removed ahead of the planned PDA demolition operations. These These actions of the PDA have become necessary to safeguard and protect public health and the environment, ensure the safety and well-being of all citizens and visitors, discourage any future disorderly construction, and encourage compliance to regulations pertaining to physical development in the state of Grenada. This is a message from the Planning and Development Authority of Grenada.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. Once again, good morning to those of you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, those of you via GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome back. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back once again also. We want to switch the conversation just a wee bit. And of course, viewers and listeners, of course, if you want to chime in the process as we go along, feel free to do so. We want to talk about our 50 years preparation. Looking forward towards everything that's happened and how are we prepared for the 50th anniversary, 50 years that we have gone through, the preparation part of it. Yeah. How you want to get into that?
Again, let me just give commendation and kudos to the organizing committee. Mm-hmm. There's so much to do that you want to highlight, and then the challenge would be as to what you should really highlight and what should get into focus. And you will never be able to please everybody all of the time, and there's always many ways to do the same thing. And so I do not envy them that the challenge they may have in coming up with the ideas and the participation for doing the things that they're doing. However, as we said in our last program, mm-hmm. we wished and hoped that we had seen a bit more hype in terms of the kind of a Grenadism, the kind of a patriotism that people may show and develop at community levels. And if it's happening, we will hope that they would choose the medium, the social media, the regular media houses to highlight what's happening at the various. And I'm not convinced that we're seeing enough of that to showcase.
I mean, if I can tap into it, I was having a conversation with someone on that, and I'm not sure if you're going to feel the same about it. Folks are getting the impression that it's becoming political, the patriotism part of it.
Is it?
I'm asking the question.
Right.
Some folks are saying folks are not doing it because of their political affiliation.
Right.
And they feel, well, if I'm part of this particular political affiliation, I would not be helping or getting into the community support or doing things because I think, well, I am not doing it because who represents me in that particular.
Right.
Do you think it should have been like it should be like that?
The reality is that politics is about people and policies, and it takes an administration to be able to implement that.
Yes.
So there would not be the same administration in government. There'd be a green, there'd be a yellow, there'd probably be a red sometime.
Yes.
And people have a right to their own support to political parties. That's part of the democratic process that we chose to work with. And we have to go beyond that. But it is easier said than done.
Yeah.
They are loyalists. Regardless to what you tell some people, they'll tell you, I am yellow to the bone. Regardless to what you tell somebody, they say, I am green to the bone, I'm bleeding green.
So I'm not going to support...
I'm not going to support any initiative by yellow, and yellow will say, I'm not supporting any initiative by green. And if you listen to one of the songs that Raymond Matthew, the Beast song...
The Oil Down.
The Oil Down and the colors mix and so on. It is saying that the election time comes to make a decision as to the party that you see best that can take you through. Obviously, there'll be people who will have the direct affiliation and the love, regardless of how deep it would go, and nothing would change that. But the overall objective would be that people decide what administration should rule, and when that administration comes in, regardless of which political party, they should be honored, they should be respected. The policies and plans and everything that is designed for the developing Grenada, it is not about a party. It's about Grenada. Yeah. And there has to be, and there would be somebody. And there would be only one prime minister at a time.
Yes.
Absolutely. And there would be one cabinet at a time. And regardless of that, and there will be an opposition, and the opposition have their role, and so the ruling administration have their role. But at the end of the day, the information and the leading must follow through to the ground. And a lot of times what you see happening in terms of the divide and that level of political mix is not so much at the higher level. Sometimes at the ground level, the people don't represent well. They tend to believe, well, it's my party in power now, so let me make a play. It's my turn. The other people on that side, you're not going to get a play. You're not going to get... And these things do happen. It's a process of life that we have to learn to coexist with. But we think that more should be driven in trying to convince people that Grenada's independence, what we do, it has to be about Grenada. It has to be about the people, not just the land space, but the people who live in that land space. Whatever is being done, it may not be done to the fancy and the fashion of everybody. I think the underlying issue, people must look at what benefit the average and every person can get from it. Right. So the whole idea of I'm not supporting this initiative because it is not me and not my party, we should go past that.
All right. Let's take a caller. Let's see what this caller has to offer. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford, sir. Greetings. And to Mr. McIntyre there. Listen, that last question you asked is a very powerful question. We can go on and talk about it for the whole day. But it demonstrates something. I wouldn't linger on it, because that's not a substantive point. But it's interesting to note, and it tells us something. To say it bluntly, as a people, collectively, we are not aware of who we really are. That is the problem, the major problem. Civically, nationally, we're not aware. Now, we should be, because we have an anthem, we have a flag, we have a coat of arms, we have a country, territorial integrity. But what else do we know? And how many of us know it? And the importance of it in telling and deciding who we really are as a people. It is because of that partisan demagoguery has perverted the political system. And that is a major debate, one of the things we have to work on as of today. Well, let's say as of the beginning of the new 50 years to come. But my substantive point, Mr. Telesford, I'm making this appeal to Mr. McIntyre because I talk and nobody cares. And who is he? What do you know? Well, I'm proud of that. Because the only thing I know is that I know nothing, but the nothing that I know it well. And when I ask questions, I believe as a Grenadian, as a partner, as a Grenadian, I ought to get answers from the corresponding authorities. For 13 years, I've been brain on a matter. No, pardon, I retract. 11. The first two, I said nothing. I've been asking questions, Mr. McIntyre. I would like you, sir, because you're a very prominent radio, television figure, and I suppose that the authorities or the powers that be listen to you. I'd like to transmit some questions on behalf of, I think, of a couple of Grenadians who would also like to get answers to this. We're celebrating 50 years of independence. We'd like to know where we can find the documents that give faith, that gives authority to A, the Constitution, so-called. B, to the so-called state of independence, because I have sought all over and cannot find them. The people who I believe know refuse to talk about it. But it's a matter that the people of this country ought to know. I'd also like to find out, or we would like to find out, because I know that I'm speaking on behalf of a couple other people, at least, who I speak to. If we can get the number of the act and the date, the year that it was passed. You know, all acts have a number and a year. You know, we want to know how it is possible that Grenada is a politically independent country and doesn't have a legitimate constitution, but otherwise is built and designed on an imperial order in council of the Queen's most excellent majesty. Excuse me for not saying the king, but when it was established, it was the Queen. I'd like to get some answers. Mr. McIntyre, do you think you can do the people of this country a kind favor in transmitting these questions to the powers that be so we get some answers and we don't continue to be duped into the other 50 years? For what it's worth, you have a nice day, will you, sir?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rollo, Citizen Rollo. I think I would like to support Mr. Rollo's plight and the quest for information relative to some pertinent things. And there's one thing that he said that he advocated and articulated for quite some time, the need for these town hall meetings where we can, generate the questions to panels and we can get answers to the question that we really need to. But I would like to also suggest, apart from me intending to follow through on some of the things that he has said, outside of that, I understand that there has been, and I think, may her soul rest in peace, the media lady who died recently. What's her name? I think she's Jamaican and otherwise.
Yes, I know who you speak of. I couldn't recall her name also, but I know you speak of.
And Miss Mitchell, I think Cassandra and others. They looked at the Constitution. There was a committee that was looking at aspects of the Constitution. But my point is, I am suggesting that questions like Mr. Rulo's and those that are, I think it's an ad hoc group that came together to really delve into the issues of the Constitution. I think that people should come together and form a formal body that can generate the questions and the issues, take them to where we think the relevant answers could be provided, and come back and provide the national answers. And I don't think the system allows at this time those questions and those issues to be channeled and the answers to be brought back. That is why we have people like Mr. Rolo and others who would use the airwaves, and you'd hear their voices more consistently, because there isn't a transparent and easy way of finding out an established path to generate this information. Even except you may even want to search into some of the archives and library to find some of the information. They might be destroyed, they might exist. The people who might be some of the physical repository for this information, they may have passed on, because we have a way of not recording and registering history and things in our country. I think we grew with that. We have to go past that. Mm-hmm. And if the persons before us made a mistake in not creating that atmosphere and that structure to generate those information as required, I think we need to start doing it. Mm-hmm. So my substantive point would be not just for individuals to try to champion the cause, but in some way advocate for a group or committee that would sit, generalize, compile, put them together, and find the answers and then provide it to the people.
And being our 50th anniversary of independence, information of that nature should have been available.
Absolutely, and I would think that the committees that have been established throughout the trial and state, I think they should stay in existence for some time, and issues of that nature they should try to really put together, and maybe if their lifetime would not be as long in terms of the structure of the committee, they should try to generate a standing committee that would look at the issues of Grenada. It is like almost rewriting Grenada's history in different chapters.
We could get some closure. We could get some closure in terms of these questions.
A lot of them. So Mr. Rolo's point is really on point. And yes, so I would not take a commitment, but do give an understanding and do give an acknowledgement that I would assist in some way of trying to generate some of these.
All right. We do have another caller. Let's see what this caller has to offer. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hello. This is Miss Louise Francois.
Hi, morning.
Hi, morning. I'm listening to your program. It's very interesting. Good morning. I haven't spoken to you guys in a long time. I've been with you guys for a long time because I was in London. I had some family issue. My mom was very ill and I was up there for a couple of months, but sadly she died. But my point is this. I am so on point with the Grenada history and the independence. It so happened as a student in London, I did my master's in the political history of Grenada, and my dissertation was independence in the Gary years. I did all my research at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies and, of course, the Public Record Office, and I came across some amazing documents on our process of our independence. And, of course, I did my master's, and I got a very good commendation for it. And I'm surprised. I've been in Grenada for a while now, and I've been trying to get involved in a number of things. For example, let me give you a great example. I met the Prime Minister recently, and he had asked me, I'm also a poet, a very well-established poet, and all my work has been on the history of Grenada and the culture. I even came here in the research, and I wrote a poem for the independence, which the Prime Minister asked me to do. When I contacted the committee, my poem was very historical. I took a view way back to the present time. The response that I received from the committee left me kind of a really, really insulted, and I can't even find a word. They told me that we don't know who you are. We cannot put anybody on our national stage. I've been reading around Grenada. In fact, I read on GIS. I've read when we had the Spice Word Festival. I've been at the schools. I've just done some work last year at River Valley Government School. I've even done some work recently at the school again. I've read at some tourism situation. And for the committee to say that to me, I felt so insulted. And I felt also, as a returning from the diaspora, we do a lot of work. I came here and researched the history. I did my dissertation. It had to be tested by the University of the West Indies. I've interviewed very top people, and I really wanted to be involved in the independence because I'm looking at it from a historical perspective. So there you are. I'm so glad Mr. Roller said what he said. We need to really, the independence is all about festivals and jump up and celebration. Where is the nitty-gritty of the whole situation? Please, somebody talk to me.
All right, thank you so much. That's
that's usefulness of this program. We dig people outside there who have the issues.
Yeah.
Really putting in issues, and it goes back to the point that we spoke about when committees and people and individuals are in position. Sometimes they do not represent to the best what the state mechanism really requires. And so we need to listen to the voice of the people and show that level of respect. Maybe they did not intend to insult, but that's how she came out of it. Okay. And I think those who listen to that, maybe they should have that corrected. Really and truly. It's not what you do, but it's how you do what you do.
Right.
And I think there's a way of authenticating and verifying whether people's credentials are credible. And if we find that their background is in some way suspect or otherwise, there should be some way of finding that out, and I think people know in a respectable way. But if somebody comes forward to, especially in the interests of our own country, and a time like this where we're building, and our Prime Minister and the administration, advocate for togetherness, and we say one nation, one journey, and everything of that sort. It's one people. It is that kind of a thing that would separate us when we create those divides by, different things. We do not want to say that what she said is as it came across, but my point is, if that's the way she feels about it, the committee members or anybody who's hearing this, they should definitely try to reach this lady and to apologize and let her know
that's a proper
I don't think that was the intent to necessarily insult her. But I think if she came out with it in that kind of a way, there should be some amendment, and we hope that it doesn't happen to anybody else.
Right. We do have another caller. We're getting a little bit distracted from our usual course we take it, but it's all good. It's all good. Hey, good morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Good morning. Do you think this woman is unique in her statement, or do you think that the committee did not do their work in finding out more about who and what is involved, or how we managed to arrive at 50 years? In any case, I think that tells a story in the sense that if they told her that they didn't know her, well, then that means they had a right to find out of who is involved. Now, for the past 50 years, where Mr. Rolo is concerned, all the people who were involved in the original, was achieving independence originally, most of them are dead now. Now, are we saying then that now that we're 50 years, we are more concerned about our unity and our patriotism? What happened to the past 49 years then? We were not patriotic then? I think what is happening now is that we behave like tradition. We follow fashion. And I think this is what is happening all over in the whole world. People think that you have to celebrate 50 years or 75 years or 100 years, which is tradition that is going on here. But what I'm saying is, again, over the past 50 years or 49 years, are we really were not united as one? Why no? We put in so much emphasis on this year. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Mr. McIntyre, I think we get a little bit diverted from our usual course that we're taking this morning.
Because it's 50.
Yes.
And the issue of 50 is unfortunate, though, GT.
Yeah.
I know there was someone on the program this morning was speaking about, the road to 50 and some of the things, the initiative. Mm-hmm. There is something at the GBSS that was going to be articulating issues on Grenada's journey, etc. But what we wanted to highlight is that the last caller, to an extent, he has a point in terms of our patriotism must not be for golden jubilee or platinum years. Otherwise, our patriotism is something that we should be showing throughout. But obviously, there are highlights and there are markers that you need to set in anything that you do. So, whether you choose 50, and 50 is usually it is set as what is a jubilee year,
yes,
golden or otherwise, and so that has to be appreciated. It's a global thing.
They do have some significance.
They do have significance, and so it goes in bonds and marriages and other things. People celebrate. Celebration is just about is a life thing. So we have to appreciate that.
So true. We'll take a final caller in this segment. We due for a break, and then we come back and get our original conversation back on track. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, good morning. I think you were asking about a name some time ago. I think the person you're looking for is Beverly Sinclair. And I also want to say that we'll be 50 only once, and I hope that all of Grenadians remember that. Only one time we're going to be 50 years. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And that's correct.
Beverly
Sinclair.
Thank you, man.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,
so let me do for a break. Let's take it. We come back and we continue with our discussions for a wee bit. All right? We come back. So we're going to put a bit of a halt on the calls for the next segment until we come back. Stay with us, folks, here on the Classic Radio.
Blast Gaming is where dreams come true and jackpots are won. Dive into a world of delightful experiences and daring action. From the moment you step through the doors, have the time of your life, feel the energy, soak in the excitement, and let the good times roll. Blast is more than just a place to play. It's where friends socialize, cocktails flow, and a safe space for those who dream big and dare to have fun while doing it. Blast Gaming. Know your limits, play within it. You must be 18 and over.
I want you to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Grenada, our beautiful pure island, is turning 50. And what better way to celebrate than with an evening that captures our heart, our spirit, our journey. Welcome to Up From Here, an experience of our past, present, and future. Join us at the National Cricket Stadium on Friday, February 2nd, as we revel in a spectacular showcase of Grenadian talent from our very own shores and from across the seas. Our artists are coming home to celebrate with us. Experience the rhythms that rocked our past and melodies that map map our future. Live bands, sensational artists, dynamic dancers, all on one stage. And the best part, it's absolutely free. Gates open at 7 p.m. Showtime 8 p.m. Come early. Bring your family. Bring your friends. Let's fill the stadium with our pride, our joy, our unity. 50 years of music, talent, and creativity. This is our moment, Grenada. Let's celebrate. It's only up from here together. Stay connected to our social media pages for updates at Grenada Turns 50.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point here on the Classic Radio GBN TV. Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. We were talking about 50 years preparation. Let's go to the process of looking forward. Safety. Yeah. I mean, that is a critical part that comes around in our 50th anniversary of independence. The safety issue that's involved in it. Let's talk about that.
And this is definitely my angle, because my reason for being on the program happened to have been for the safety and emergency response issues.
Yes.
And in particular, now we advocate because there's a foundation for road safety that we established. And definitely that would be one of the niche areas that we're going to stand on. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate, acknowledge that there will be the pomp and ceremony for anniversaries, etc. And 50 is a significant milestone that needs to be celebrated and honored. But going beyond 50, we have to be visionaries, we have to be forecasters in the sense of wanting to go in a particular direction and knowing what you want. 50 years, 51 years, technically 49 years, a year from now, where you should go. And so it is good to be able to identify the issues, but it is better to make recommendation and to see where you would want to go. As we speak on our safety issues, there are quite a bit of things that we spoke about. And we're hoping that the focus for the next 50 years, starting on the 8th of February 2024, that we should look into some very tangible features that we can build on. And we can say that we are developing in the truest sense. What we can see them. We can track our steps, we can set those milestones for the generations to come. And the milestones that we are going to set, they obviously are going to be the better ones. And we look for betterment, we look for development. As we look at our roads and where we should go, there is quite a bit that needs to go into our physical plan and development entities. We look at enhancing our road space and where houses and other things and development processes are undertaken. I want to commend the initiative. It did not happen, I think, just because we're celebrating 50. But we understand that safety needs to be a factor, and where people build and how they build is something that had to be considered.
Yes.
And we are happy and commend the initiative that now we're seeing that there's a structured way of guiding the development principles and removing and giving notice for those who are developing and building in the places that they should not.
So true. Because, there's notice has been going on. It was already a while ago. It's one of the commercials that was played in terms of the infomercial, where, the of course, this is the PD, the planning and development, they plan on removing those structures around. Because, think about we having a disaster in terms of, not that, but, a storm occurs.
Yes.
And these things can become projectiles.
Yes.
And people, property, the individuals themselves could get damaged by these things. Because folks are just building things anyway for some reason here. I mean, we get at 50, and I think folks have to look at things in a different direction.
And this is one of the reasons why we advocate for, it's not like it's a symposium or a town hall where we can articulate and document the issues. And so the topic that we're raising now in 50 and beyond, I'm sure other people will chime in on it, and they will have the way as what we would want to see the next years coming. But our land space is something that we have to be conscious of.
Right.
The environmental degradation, how we dump, what we dump, where we dump it is something that we would want to not continue those practices that we've had 50 years past.
Continued education is the key factor.
Is a
key factor. Folks have to be told about it continuously. You have to be pounded before it sinks in. I mean, just saying it around this time of the year now would not make a big difference, but it has to happen continuously for it to sink in.
Absolutely. Dollars and cents make a difference in what we do.
Yeah.
So building and supporting our economy towards development is critical. We do not have massive refineries or industries that we create, and we do not do a lot of manufacturing, etc. But we depend on the beauty and the goodwill of people and tourism to keep us going. The aesthetics that we create and so would help to make Grenada a destination for tourists and visitors to really want to be. Right. That helps the economy. And if we are not going to control what we have, we're not going to beautify what we have, we're not going to take care of what we have, and so on, that could have devastating consequences on our economy.
So true.
As we look on our road spaces and so forth, it is time that we move beyond the regular road space and create safer sidewalks for people to traverse. And we hope that could really start in 2024. Some of the accidents that we're seeing that happen at particular times of the day or night is because our streets are not well lit. There are no or insufficient reflectors and markings that indicate where your road space end. And so we're hoping that more reflective equipments and instruments would be placed on our roads that shows our road space. In addition to that, we must move into corrugated edges.
All right.
Where flat surfaces that people drive on, where it is easy for you to veer off on the motor space. People need to know that when you're off the motor space, the vehicle space, that you're getting off into walking or sidewalk. And corrugated edges is one of the ways that we need to be able to go.
All right.
The other thing that we need to see 50 in terms of road safety going on, there must be demarcation and timing as to no parkings and more use of regularized parking and authorized places.
Yes.
Our shoulders should not be used. In many cases, we have to move to the point where parking should be allowed at particular times of the days and night, and that will help our safety factor quite a bit. There's much more we can speak about in terms of preparing for natural disasters that can hazard that could create natural disasters. We need to be able to create more resilience by the information processes and the instrument to guide development, where people build, how they build, what they build. And finally, in terms of the recovery processes responding to issues, our medical response in many cases leaves a lot to be desired in terms of how quickly we can react to a situation and how appropriate with the right equipment we can respond. We need to have more satellite community response teams that will be able to be there much quicker to react and deal with people in emergency. So going forward, 1 year from 50 and beyond, we must build on our physical safety infrastructure, the safety issues, medical and otherwise, our road spaces, and our development and protection of our environment. These need to be critically enhanced. Right. And we hope to see more forum where people will be able to come and give information, get information out of the processes, document our history, and be able to provide it to the younger generation as we go forward to build this nation that we so love.
All right. Mr. Bethad, there's a quick question from someone they've been asking via the WhatsApp. I hope you can answer this one. They say, Mr. McIntyre, can you explain why the walls have been painted in black and white and not the colors of our flag? Some people said it's because of traffic, which I don't know. So maybe you have more knowledge. You can comment on the black and white painting. And they're also saying, if you were to advise the 50th anniversary presently based on what you're seeing now, what would be your first suggestion?
My first suggestion for the last question would be more things or items, programs that generate information about Grenada.
Yes.
And the participation in the process. We need to see more about that. And the aspect of the paintings, I think we spoke about a little bit on it on the last program. We touched on
sometime last week. We did.
That black and white is a global standard for road markings.
Yes.
Bridges and side paintings, black, white. And to an extent, the white and yellow, traffic yellow, are the ones that you use for marking road spaces, etc. But in terms of the overkill, in terms of the black and white, it should be specific to roadsides and bridges and not to the stones and other places that people tend. We can't tell people where to paint and what to paint, but the painting of the black and white, it should be specific to the roadsides and signs that are specific to the roads, to give an indicator as to spaces that road users, whether they're motorists or pedestrian, they can use those as guides. And the painting should not just be just white, but it should be reflective white. The light should be able to reflect on it so that people understand where the demarcations are. And in terms of the red, the green, and the yellow, those are our national colors. And let me just say, there is a particular way that color should be displayed. Yes. It should be red, yellow, and green in that order. And from left to right, it should be similar: red, yellow, and green.
Yes.
And some people just think that once you display the three colors, you're okay. And again, it's not the yellow, but it is red, gold, and green. And it should be from top to bottom, the red, yellow in the middle, green at the bottom. So if we need to stick to what we want to standardize, or if we want to standardize processes, we have to follow the instructions and the principles laid down. Our national instruction, the principle that we have adopted and agreed, is that the red should be at the top, the gold in the middle, and the green at the bottom.
All right.
And if you look in many places, I think through ignorance or otherwise, that is not honored throughout the state.
So true. Mr. McIntyre, I think it's the time of the morning. We have been overkill a little bit in terms of our time, but we understand the reasons why behind it. I want to thank you once again, sir, for always an interesting program when we do have one.
Yeah.
And hopefully next week we could dive more deeply into more conversation pertaining to safety in general.
So we're doing the Sister Isles this week.
Sister Isles.
The Pity Matnik celebration is on the 30th tomorrow.
Yes.
And the Carriacou Independence would be on the 1st.
Okay, great.
So we'll be participating in that as well.
Okay. Hey, folks, that's when we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. I knew there were numerous individuals calling in, so we couldn't accommodate your calls in this segment. Hopefully next week you probably could save the thought and bring it across next week.
We'll accommodate people.
Yeah, we'll be able to comment. Until then, folks, have yourself a great one. Thanks for being part of To The Point. Those of you via social media platforms, thank you so very much also for being part of it. Have yourself a great day. That's where we say goodbye for today's edition of To The Point. Goodbye.